Hi, I'm Daniel Goldman, co-owner and industrial designer here at MSB Technology. Today, I'd like to take some time to share some updates about our machine shop. Behind me, you'll see the Grob G350a with a 20 pallet pool station. We had to sell 3 of our CNC machines to accommodate this, and it's taken several months to get up and running, but finally we're back on our feet. Chassis production is catching up, and our lead times should be shorter than ever moving forward. Before we could even install the machine, we had to cut up and dig out our shop floor. Then we added a massive 13-inch thick, isolated concrete slab underneath the cutting area. This machine is so rigid and accurate, any movement or deflection in the floor would throw off its precision. The machine was also so massive it barely fit through our warehouse doors and then had to be reassembled in place. You can see some very tight clearances around the rafters. Traditionally, we have been running manually loaded CNC machines, which require an operator to swap out each part when finished. This means that the amount of production you can complete is solely based on the amount of time an operator spends running the machine. So if they work 8 hours a day, you might be able to make 8 of a specific part. So to make more parts, a second work shift can be added for a 16-hour day to make 16 parts. Then you can increase this by buying a second machine with 2 operators and 2 shifts. This is traditionally how a machine shop would grow. The growth is completely linear, resulting in a much bigger company, but it doesn't get you ahead. With recently increased manufacturing costs, and especially the strain those long hours places on our employees, this wasn't the way we wanted to go. Instead, we turned to automation. Even though an installation like this costs upwards of $1 million, the return on investment is under 4 years. And in this video, I'm excited to share with you how that's even possible. Also, many of the other key benefits that this system brings to our company. To start, let's discuss operators. This machine is already running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with lights out machining. For us to cover those same hours with operators, we would require 5 shifts of 2 employees, 2 operators at a time being required for safety during nighttime operation. Now, with automation, 1 operator can recharge the machine within a 2-hour window once a day for 24-hour runtimes. Those same employees are now freed up for other work in the machine shop or production. We've moved from a fatiguing around-the-clock schedule to having everyone working together during the day. The pallet pool is what makes this transition possible. With 20 individual workstations, each pallet has a unique setup for a specific product. Instead of waiting for each part to finish, we can preload 20 unique setups and walk away. The pallet pool then stores and delivers each job to the machine at the right time during the day or night. All of these jobs are prepared here at the setup workstation, even while the machine is running. In the morning, there will be a long list of completed jobs needing to be refreshed for the next day. We load raw blocks of aluminum on devices for processing. You can see some example of setups here. On this pallet, we have 10 input modules, 5 for the first operation and 5 for the second operation. This provides an unprecedented flexibility in lean manufacturing. Now, let's discuss the mill, where the cutting actually happens. The pallet pool loads the part into the mill and sends the correct CNC G-code to that specific part. Then, the mill takes over from there. Starting with that raw block of aluminum, the machine uses coolant and cutting tools to carve and shape the block into the desired product. The Grob G350a is a 5-axis machine, which means it can work on the jack panel, then rotate the entire chassis around and continue working on the faceplate. It also enables tricky cuts like the product badge here. The chips of aluminum fall to the floor of the cutting chamber. A conveyor belt then carries them out and dumps them into a large bin for recycling purposes. Nearly 75% of all aluminum ever produced is still in use today. The coolant, besides making it difficult to film or see what's going on in there, serves a few purposes. First, it keeps things cool. It does that by carrying the heat away. It also provides lubricity, which helps generate less heat at the cutting edge and increase the tool life. The coolant also helps carry off the aluminum chips and get them away from the part. Some of these chips are so small that they won't sink down to the conveyor, but instead float or disperse through the coolant. For those, we run the coolant through a paper band filter here. This slowly inches the filter paper forward as it collects more chip fines. Unique to a machine like this is that it has a horizontal spindle. Typically reserved for massive machine shops, a horizontal spindle brings many benefits to the cutting finish and tool life. Because it machines the part on its side, the carved chips are able to easily fall away. With our traditional vertical spindle machines, the chips can fall back into the part and are actually cut again or smeared onto the already machined surfaces. This is known as recutting. which prematurely wears down the cutting edge of tools and results in poor finishes. This is also the reason we run the coolant through the paper band filter. Even the smallest of metal chips can affect the surface finish. Speaking of finishes, we decided to take advantage of this machine's power and precision by upgrading our tooling system. Tooling often comes down to rigidity and concentricity. This is where our new Heimer heat shrink system shines. Traditional tooling technologies, where you have a mechanical stack up with a tightening nut and collet, result in less than ideal runout. This causes the end mill to cut on one tooth more than the others, aging it quickly and needing to be replaced. They are also not very rigid, so cutting must be slower than the tool is capable of. But with our new heat shrink tool holders, the tool holder is heated up by a magnetic induction coil to where it has expanded enough to fit the end mill inside. As it cools, the tool holder shrinks back to its original size and grips the tool. The result is a strong connection that is nearly perfectly mated. The tools are then loaded into a 90 tool carousel, where the machine has access to use them. With an advanced Blum laser system, we are able to monitor tool wear and offsets for ultra-precise machining. It also features sister tooling, which allows duplicate tools of the same type, so that if a tool breaks on one part, it will then put that pallet back in storage, pull out a new pallet, and use the new tool to continue production. Keeping the machine running 24/7 for lights-out machining is always a priority in a system like this. This way, we don't lose any time on our overnight or weekend productions. With these improvements, our hand-sanded finishes now take less time and achieve a more consistent product. Now, our finishing department can easily keep up with our increased production schedules and focus more on the critical details. The precision and quality of the Grob CNC system has resulted in our finest work yet. All these small maintenance systems having their own management are what allow the mill to run for such long periods of time unattended. If the chips built up too quickly or the coolant backed up, the machine would have to stop. Previously, these were all maintained by operators day in and day out with catastrophic results if neglected. Automation is often vilified for taking away our jobs, but the reality is it takes away the worst part of our jobs, allowing us to focus on high value, more rewarding efforts. Just ask our staff. We can't imagine going back to the way things were. We are really excited to see the ways our production will continue to evolve, finding ways of working smarter, leaner, and passing on those advancements to our customers. We also can't wait to see what new designs we can come up with for a machine like this. Our industry is changing, and this kind of vertical integration is one of the ways we're staying ahead of the curve.